Climate change is challenging the global economy and our way of life, accelerating a new energy revolution in the quest for net zero carbon. This requires the rapid phase out of fossil fuels, and some aspects of our society will have a harder time than others making this transition. Jorgo Chatzimarkakis of Hydrogen Europe believes that green hydrogen is the solution. What role will hydrogen play in Europe's goal to become carbon neutral?
The European Union has declared herself as the first entity at the first continent that will become carbon neutral by 2050. In order to get there, the Europeans decided to issue something which they call the European Green Deal. And then the European Union adopted at that time a hydrogen strategy because this molecule can help to decarbonize without losing jobs, without de-industrializing. This all was really accelerated by the Russian invasion into Ukraine, where many countries in Europe, depending on Russian gas and oil, needed to find a strategy.
What specifically needs to happen in order to achieve these goals and ensure that Europe isn't heavily reliant on Russia for future energy sources and becomes energy independent?
There needs to be a regulatory framework. The European Union has issued a big bunch of laws called Fit for 55, so reduction of 55% of CO2 emissions. One takes care of defining what is green hydrogen, what is decarbonized or low carbon hydrogen. How can you monitor and certify that it's real like that? And how can you subsidize it? On top, the best way to transport hydrogen is to use pipelines. Pipelines can transport renewable energy 8 to 16 times cheaper than wires that can transport electricity.
Pipelines might be cheaper, but are they safer?
Pipelines are the safest way to transport, but also to store hydrogen, because in times where you have massive sun and wind influx and you have a big production of renewable energy, you need to store it, because sometimes in Europe we have seen that the power grid cannot absorb this electricity.
Given geopolitical tensions, how do we ensure that energy doesn't continue to be at the center of all power plays?
So basically, we face at the moment one of the biggest geostrategic and geopolitical changes over the last century. And hydrogen becomes a quite interesting player because it allows countries to become net producers of energy, whereas they are today net consumers or net importers. Let me give you a very simple example. Namibia, which is next to South Africa, is of course at the moment importing electricity and any power from South Africa. This country will become a net producer of renewable energy and hence of hydrogen, and will export to South Africa because South Africa will reindustrialize. So you see, it changes dramatically the relations between countries. And this also can be seen on a global scheme, because especially the states in the Gulf, so Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Qatar, and other countries, prepare at the moment to go from fossil energy to renewables and to hydrogen. And this changes all the relations that we see on the globe.